I take this seriously. I have fun with it. I do. I try to have as much fun as possible in the workshops. I make light of stuff, and people know that. But I take this seriously. This is the path. This is the path that we are all on. And if we don't, we will end up like billions of people have throughout history. They will make the great transition of death and go from the physical outer world, and they will move that far inward to a consensus reality, or territory, as Bob would say, on the astral. And they'll swear they're in heaven, when there's an entire universe of countless realities and dimensions yet there to explore and experience. But we have to open to this. We have to truly let go and become explorers of consciousness, not just readers of consciousness. And that is the leap, the great leap that we all must take. One thing I would like to mention on a little different topic, and I started talking about this earlier, and that is this whole concept of what happens at the afterlife. Because this step is so important to our evolutionary cycle, because the whole concept of us exploring inward is so important, we have to be totally aware of how to enhance our state of consciousness. What have most people done for the last 2,000 to 3,000 years at the moment of death? Think about this. This is a very important stage that many of us in our society, the whole concept and thought of death is avoided, isn't it? People don't want to think about it. They don't want to really deal with it. But yet, there's no escaping it. We have to be prepared to make the great leap. And if I may, I would give you some suggestions on how I will do it. Based on all the research out there by Moody and other near-death explorers, there are certain phenomena associated with the transition. And out-of-body experience is one. And what do they all say? At the moment of death, what happens? We're reunited with our loved ones, and it's a joyous moment, is it not? All the books say it. All the researchers say it. Penny's over there just laughing. It's universal. This great reunion, yes, oh my God. I'm my great reunion with my loved ones. I don't know about you, but my family was a bunch of drunkards. I don't necessarily need to be united with that happy bunch. I didn't come from a family of Buddhas and Christs. I come from a family of bartenders and drunks and God knows what. That's not my evolutionary cycle. I don't need that. I want to go beyond that consensus reality of my little, let's just say it called soul group. We have that choice. We can enhance our state of consciousness at the moment of death. And I write about this extensively in the new book because I feel this is so critically important to our evolutionary cycle. It's up to us to take control, just like it's up to us to take control in an out-of-body experience. It's up to us to take control at the moment of our transition. What is an out-of-body experience but the final OBE? We have the power to take control of that. We have the power to enhance our state of consciousness and go beyond the consensus realities of the astral. Now, if you wish to reunite with your family, that's fine. That's your call. I do not. So my call, at the moment of death, what I'm going to do is essentially chant a powerful affirmation. Now I go to my higher self. Higher self now. Higher self now. higher self now. I will attempt to go to the highest vibrational level that I can possibly achieve at the transition we call death. I'm not going to be content to be reunited with my previous associates, because that's what they are. The point is, and think of this. What are most people, lately my wife is a hospice worker, and I get a lot of feedback about this. My God, most people are more concerned about the flowers around the person than they are the darn state of consciousness they're in at the transition point. They're already bickering over who's going to get what in the will, aren't they? Let's face it. It's sad. In our society, where do most people end up? 1,000 years ago, everybody was at home. Now, where do people end up? Let's be brutally honest about it. We end up in institutions. Some of them are nice. I'm not being derogatory. This is just the raw facts. We end up in institutions surrounded by people that are strangers, and they pump us full of drugs because it's all about physical comfort. Isn't this the truth? It's just the truth. It's not a matter of right and wrong. We're not surrounded often by loved ones. Look at the difference between how the Tibetan Buddhists do this. A Tibetan monk who dies, the elder monk, let's say, is dying. How is it handled? As he is laying on his deathbed, the older monk is surrounded by his fellow monks, and they chant. They chant sometimes for days. For days, they will chant. They will chant powerful phrases to enhance his state of consciousness. They essentially are chanting a Tibetan phrase that means, go to the clear light of the void, go to the clear light of the void, go to the clear light of the void. That's what they chant. What are they saying? What is the clear light of the void in Tibetan Buddhism? The clear light means to go beyond form. The clear light means to go beyond consensus realities, to go beyond form-based realities of the astral. The clear light is pure, in their philosophy, it's pure consciousness. You go beyond form, go beyond the astral. We have the ability to do the same. We can make a CD. In my new book, I have the whole thing for you to just dictate. And you can play it by the bedside of your loved one, or program it for yourself when the appropriate time is near. We can't depend often on our family members to do this for us. We have to take control of it. Put it in your will. This is what I want. And you could have beautiful music. You could have hemi-sync with it. Magnificent music. And overlay it with your affirmations. Now I go to the clear light of the void. In more modern terminology, on what I would use, would be go to your higher self now. Go to your higher self now. Same means the same thing. Use terms that are meaningful and powerful for you, that will propel you beyond the astral. This isn't anything new I'm saying here. This is what the Tibetan Buddhists have been doing for thousands of years. It's been lost in our Western culture. We have the ability to impact. If I can impact my state of consciousness during an OBE, why can't I impact my state of consciousness during a final OBE? Seriously, there is no reason why I cannot. The problem is people don't know this. They lay there waiting for the end, and what's their mindset? fear, hope. They hope that and I've heard this. I've heard this on occasions. All of my family members have died. My mother and my father. My father was a tough guy. He killed people in World War II. But on his deathbed, he told me, I am scared to death. He was terrified of what lay next. He was afraid he'd have to pay for killing some Japanese during World War II. Follow it? Because that's what his religion told him. Wages of sin are death, blah, blah. Goes on and on. He internalized that. Most people, either subconsciously or consciously, at the moment of this important transition of consciousness. And it's all it is a transition of consciousness. It's not the end of anything. But our mindset is so critically important because our mindset will determine the reality that we experience. I can't emphasize that enough. Our mindset, our state of consciousness will determine the reality that we experience. There's no escaping it. And only we have the power to adjust that mindset, to enhance the mindset. Give this serious thought. Have your own action plan. I have mine. My wife has hers. My children has theirs. I write about this action plan. I provide an entire script for it so you can make your own. Pick your own music. Don't use somebody else's voice, use your own. Make it powerful. Make it now. No, nothing wimpy. Now I go to my higher self. You could put 100 affirmations on a CD. You take control over the amount of drugs you use. We have control over that. People forget that. I want to control the amount of, if I'm on morphine, I want to control it. I don't want to be out, totally out. I want to be as conscious as possible. That's our choice. Now, sometimes I know this is not possible, comas, etc. But it's all about trying to take as much control over your personal reality at every step in your life. Every step, including that step. Because death is just the beginning. Just the beginning of our journey. That's what's amazing. It's wild. It's exciting. Because we continue. And only we create the limits. So it means there are no limits. It's important that we begin to acknowledge it. And don't allow anyone to block these transitional moments for you. Pick allies. Have strong allies. Instruct them on how to proceed, what exactly to do. In a sense, we have the ability to do what the Tibetans have done, except in a more modern format. We don't need to have people chanting around our bedside. We can create our own chanting, our own affirmations, and have them playing on auto repeat. We can hold and enhance our own state of consciousness through awareness now, higher self now, through our own ability to focus our state of consciousness.